Hello there everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Clarissa and I put out new pick a card readings, sometimes tarot collective readings once a week on this channel. As you can tell by this week's title of the video, I don't even know what I'm gonna title it yet, but this is gonna be in regard to self-love. So I really want to look at what you need to be doing right now, or like things you can incorporate in your life to show yourself more love, appreciation, respect, honor, and to just like really feed and care for your body, mind, and soul. Like, what are you needing right now? What is your body needing? What is your soul needing? What is your mind needing right now to really feel nourished and loved and cared for? And that's just really what I want to look at for you guys today. So as you can see here, we have 3 different piles for you to choose from. This is group number 1, group number 2, and group number 3. And for group number 1, we have this piece of lapis lazuli. Sorry, I really wanted to make sure you could kind of see that there. And then for group number 2, we have this rose quartz. And then for group number 3, we have this piece of citrine. All right. So again, group 1, 2, and 3, if you need to take a second to pause the video for you to select which pile you're feeling the most drawn to, please go ahead and do that now. I don't think it would be wrong for you to listen to this entire reading, because there may be messages in each one individual reading for you to hear. You may like be attracted to 2, go ahead and listen to both of them. And then if you're just attracted to 1, like that's perfectly fine as well. Do what works for you. I don't think you're wrong to pick more than 1 pile though for this week's reading. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys decide. And then once you've done that, you can go to the description box down below and you'll see 3 different timestamps correlating with each pile. And then you can go directly to your reading from there. So thank you so much for joining me this week, guys. I'm looking forward to this one, and I will see you shortly in your reading. All right, hello there, group number 1. As a reminder, if you chose the lapis lazuli, then this is your reading this week in regard to how you can be showing yourself love, care, respect, honor, all that good jazz. But mostly, like, we're looking at how you can show yourself love. So for you guys, we got make an altar, use the hands, and connect with crystals. And these 3 cards were a part of your pile selection. They were the purple cards in the beginning of the video. And then for your tarot cards, we have Death, Knight of Swords, the Sun, the Chariot, and the 7 of Cups. So let's go ahead and get into it. I do have 2 additional cards that we'll take a look at. Well, 2 additional oracle decks and cards that are already shuffled from them that we'll take a look at after we look at these cards. So, excuse me. With make an altar coming out here, like right above Death and the Knight of Swords, I really feel like there are some big changes that have been happening in your life or are going to be happening. I think maybe some of you have been really making a conscious effort to make changes, to do things differently, especially when it comes in regard to like the messages that I feel like I'm getting are when it comes in regard to like your body, the choices of like food and things that you're making, and then even when it just has to do with like you honoring yourself and like the decisions that you want to make for yourself, really trying to step more into your own authenticity, right? And I feel like maybe you've been making changes for a while or trying to make these changes, or maybe for some of you, even you're like trying to implement these changes really, really quickly. You're trying to like really make a lot of changes at once, which may or may not work for you, right? It can be hard to do a lot of things that were like, have a lot of things that were drastically changing in our lives overnight. It can be hard to do that and to like stick to it for some people. So I wanted to acknowledge that as well, because I feel like with the Knight of Swords coming up here, it's almost like Spirit saying to you to slow down. Like, I feel like you guys are go-getters, or you're constantly kind of like thinking about or trying to move in a new direction, or move towards something new. And because I really feel like you guys are very mentally active, like you have a lot going on up here in this pretty little head of yours. But I feel like you guys try to make all of these changes or adjustments so quickly because you want to like, it's almost like you want to go into like 3x speed through like your changes, and like, you know, to become this person that maybe you've always like wanted to be, or to allow yourself to be more open and authentic. And the thing is that you don't have to move so quickly. You're not in competition with anybody. You're literally only trying to do things to better your life and make things better. And you don't have to be at this constant like hustle, this constant grind to like make your life get to where you think it should be faster, right? And that's just kind of like what I feel like is coming through for a lot of you guys. Let me take a drink of water here real quick. I just feel that you need to give yourself some grace while you're going through these changes and these transitions, and allowing yourself to be present during this. Allow yourself to really enjoy the journey, be as present as possible. And I'm telling you that by doing this, it's going to make the results of these changes that you're making so much sweeter, because you took your time with them. You didn't rush yourself out of like where you currently are because you don't like yourself or you don't like where you are. You appreciated the process and appreciated the fact that good things take time, and they take a lot of adjustment, and change doesn't always happen overnight, right? Sometimes it does, but for the most part, especially when it comes to us making changes about ourselves, it takes years to get where we want to be sometimes, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to appreciate where you are now, appreciate the journey, and I'm telling you, it'll make it that much sweeter, and you'll appreciate it so much more when you actually get to where you want to be. So slow down a little bit. With making an altar coming out here, it's interesting because we have two different cards where it looks like somebody is meditating, right? And maybe meditation doesn't work for you, maybe it does, but to me, meditation at the end of the day is all about mindfulness. And I think that what Spirit is really saying to you is to be present in the current moment, take things slowly, allow yourself to feel all that you need to go through all that you need to mourn or grieve or whatever it is that you need to be feeling and processing. Allow yourself to do that. Allow yourself the time to process. It's going to be very important for you in the next steps that you have coming. So with the sun coming out here, I really feel like Spirit is saying like, you're going to get through this. And it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a challenge for you. And it may even be a challenge because maybe you've never allowed yourself the time and the patience to take things slowly, right? So this is going to take its time, but you're going to like get to the other side. There is light at the end of the tunnel, right? And this can be very hard and challenging, especially if we're making a lot of major changes to ourselves and who we are fundamentally, or who we are, how we view ourselves even, right? Or how others view us. But one thing that's coming up here with use your hands, I feel like for some of you, Spirit is saying that like maybe for some of you, like I was mentioning in the beginning, maybe some of you are making a change to like eat healthier, and you're doing it in a way in which you never have before, where you're still going to allow yourself to eat fast food, allow yourself to eat the things that are quote unquote bad foods, even though no foods are bad, all foods are neutral. You're going to allow yourself to like actually eat what you want, but you're going to focus on getting like, a good amount of servings of veggies in a day, good amount of servings of fruit in a day, like what's recommended for you, making sure that you're both feeding like your mind, feeding your body, and feeding your soul, right? Literally, because some food that is quote unquote bad for us is really good for our mind and our soul, right? And then when we're eating these, again, quote unquote bad foods, it's okay to like add some strawberries on the side, or add some veg on the side, add some color. It's really about adding to our meals instead of taking away. And for some of you, I feel like with Use Your Hands coming up, it's literally Spirit encouraging you to start falling in love with like cooking your own food and presenting yourself with a healthy, beautiful meal that you can enjoy, right? And I'm sorry, I should stop using the word healthy, because I don't want to make it seem like if you're giving yourself In-N-Out or Chick-fil-A that that's like a problem, right? Because if that's what you enjoy and that's what your body is really asking for in the moment, great. What can you do to like spruce that up a little bit? Give yourself some more fiber, make the meal more satiating. Can you get some veggies on the side? Could you get a side salad while you're there? Like what are things that you can do to, again, add to the nutritional value of things? So that's something that I feel like is specific coming through for maybe a handful of you, but I just felt like it was important that I got that message across. With the rest of you, with using your hands, again, I feel like this is pointing to us being more intentional, being more aware and present of what's going on around us. Allowing ourselves to be present in the moment, right? So maybe you will pick up some sort of like hobby, like pottery, or this looks like somebody's, wheel throwing to me, but maybe you'll pick up something that allows you to work more with your hands. And truthfully, I feel like what this is ultimately pointing to is us engaging more with our five senses, being more present in the moment, and allowing ourselves to really like feel through life, allow ourselves to feel through these changes that are happening that may be really difficult for us. With the Chariot and the Seven of Cups and Connect with Crystals coming out here, I feel like once we kind of get to this other side, once we've gone through like this change and we've moved on from death, and we've gotten to this point with the sun where things are bright and beautiful and brilliant again, just like they are in nature currently too, right? Like we're about to go into spring. Like I'm recording this the day of daylight savings time starting, so we'll get more daylight during the day again, which is beautiful, lovely, wonderful. It's like we've gotten through the harshness, the darkness of winter, and we're coming into this area, this time more of like brightness. But it'll really be important for us to kind of work with our hands to get through this and like during this period, because then when we get here, it's about taking actionable steps and moving forward with the Chariot. Sorry, I just need one more drink of water here, guys. So with Connect with Crystals coming out here too, this is obviously like some of you may be really wanting to get into crystals and like actually connecting more with crystals. And if that's the case, this is speaking directly to you. Go ahead and start doing that. Because it may help you during this time of transition as well. I know there are a lot of stones and crystals that people use during times of transformation, healing, and change, and to help them kind of get through it, to lean on that energy of the crystal. So that may be something you want to look into, or something you may want to do if that speaks to you and sounds interesting to you. And then with, connecting with crystals also, I look at it as being more present in the moment again, but also really allowing yourself to live in synchronicity with the cycles of life, right? Allowing this cycle of change to come through, this death, this change, this rebirth to come through, for you to really be this more authentic and like whole and complete version of yourself. I feel like that's going to be so important for you guys. But yeah, really allowing yourself to live with like the cycles of the moon, the cycles of the planet, the cycles of the earth, and getting to know those better too. I've gotten more into like the moon phases over the last year because they have this app for tracking my menstrual cycle that like follows the moon cycle as well. And if you live in the US and you want to track your menstrual cycle, I do recommend this one because everything is very heavily like coded. I forget the exact term for it because whatever, I'm blanking, but everything is like very secure, so that if you live in a state currently where you don't get your period for whatever reason, they wouldn't be able to like pull your data in court from this app, is what I've been told, and like what I've like seen from the actual app like creators themselves. But the app is called Stardust, and I think it's really cool because it like shows you what moon phases you're ovulating with, or you're having your menstrual cycle with, and it like allows you to kind of be more in touch with the cycles of the moon, which I think are cool and like really important to how we function on Earth. But again, maybe you'll want to get into more of like these kind of cycles and really allowing yourself to live in synchronicity with the cycles of life. And it even reminds me too of like people that I've seen on TikTok that like eat and exercise according to like what phase of their menstrual cycle they're in. And that could be something that ends up being very helpful for you as well. Ultimately, I think that like what spirit is wanting you to do is to connect more with yourself, connect more with these cycles. And by doing that, it's really going to allow you to become this authentic version of yourself that is very driven and motivated by what inspires them. Like this change and transformation that you're going through, I really feel like has to do with how, like, I feel like it's really deeply rooted in how you present yourself and like who you are, or how people see and perceive you as. And I think that for a lot of you, once you've gone through these changes, it's going to be like night and day for you, right? Like you're going to be so much more comfortable in who you are and what you want out of life. And you're really going to care a lot less about what society thinks you should be doing or what other people think you should be doing. And you're going to be living your life for you and not for everybody else. But I think also it's going to make you so much more confident in making decisions for yourself, because you're not worried about what anyone else thinks about you and what anybody else would want for you in your life. You're only worried about what you want for yourself and what's important to you. You're not going to let like other people dictate how you operate and do like work through your life anymore, right? And the Seven of Cups traditionally does represent choices as well. And I think that you will have a lot more options available to you. But you'll be able to make like the best, most intuitive decision for yourself when it comes to things moving forward. Let me take one more drink of water here, you guys, and then I'm going to get into your oracle cards here as well. The additional oracle cards that we have. All right. So I just think that overall it's going to be important for you to, in terms of your self-love and self-care, for you to really make space for yourself to have the time and the space to really like be connected in the moment, to meditate if that calls you. And you may actually want to make an altar to like a god or goddess, but if that's not something that really speaks to you, I think ultimately with Make an Altar, it's about having a place that's yours that you can connect to and be present and like aware of, you know what I mean? So I think that that's why that's really coming out there. And then again, with use your hands, some of you may be cooking more for yourselves, maybe just like doing activities that allow you to be present, and then really allowing ourselves to flow more and just be at peace, be present. And again, don't try and like fight these changes as well, because change is so necessary and happens all around us in nature, right? Nature is constantly like changing and shifting around us. And I think for some reason we think we as human beings like don't have to go through these cycles of change, or that things shouldn't change for us, when that's the only thing you can be promised and guaranteed in life, is that things will change. So stop fighting those things so much. Get into crystal work if that calls to you. And then again, like maybe even looking more into moon cycles, you know, syncing your workouts and your like eating habits with your menstrual cycle if you're someone who menstruates. I don't want to leave out men, but if you're someone who menstruates and that calls to you, by all means, like look into that more. I'm sorry if you can hear that dog barking outside. I can't hear it too loudly, so I'm hoping you can't either. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into these last oracle cards here. So we also have for you guys Duro Isle Compassion. I don't know if I'm saying the first part of that card right, the Duro Isle. So I apologize if I'm butchering that. And then I also have Unconditional Love Blueprint. So I really think that ultimately, Spirit is saying here to you guys to have compassion for yourself. Show yourself the same love and compassion that you show other people. I get the feeling that you guys are ultimately really, really hard on yourselves, and we all are. We're all the hardest on ourselves. We're harder on ourselves than anyone else is on us. But why is that? Why do we have such high expectations for ourselves that we would never expect of other people? Stop being so cruel to yourself. Show yourself the same kind of love and respect and compassion and understanding that you show other people. That's going to be so important for you guys on this journey of self-love, is that you extend yourself the same compassion that you would anybody else by allowing yourself to go slow, not fight the changes that are coming, allowing yourself to appreciate and be present in the moment. Like, that's so, so important for you. That is the bottom line of what needs to be done. And I think you guys really, really do need to start being more loving and compassionate towards yourself. And then finally, we have for you guys, what do you need to release? Ooh. And then we have, don't let pride get in your way. Okay, I love that. With what do you need to release? What needs to change right now? What's like crazy too, and I don't know if you guys like noticed this. Oh, well, maybe you can kind of see it here, but see how like all of these cards have like a crescent moon on them? Even that kind of looks like a crescent moon, and then the Seven of Cups cards was like the different cycles and phases of the moon. It's so interesting because then we have another crescent moon, a crescent waning moon coming up here. And maybe the waning moon is like very important for you guys. Maybe if you are a menstruating being, you are like having your menstrual cycle during the like waning moon or the waxing crescent moon, like whichever one it is. But I just think that's so interesting that that's coming up. So maybe look more into the waning moon as well. Maybe you were born under a waning moon. So look into that as well. That may give you like some more information that you're needing to know right now too, and help you kind of better understand how to care for yourself. But what do you need to release? What do you need to allow to change? What do you need to let go of? Don't cling on to these things that are needing to change and no longer serve you. Again, the only thing we're promised in life is change. That is the only constant that we have. And we have to accept that. We have to allow ourselves to shed that skin and move on. So yeah, allow yourself to release. Don't let pride get in your way, especially for those of you that this does have to do with you stepping more into your own authenticity. Don't let the sun, the ego, get in your way, right? Don't allow yourself to, not change or hold on tightly and cling tightly to the way things are because you're afraid of how people will perceive you when you shed this layer and you're allowing yourself to be more open and authentic. Don't allow your pride or your ego to get in your way, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and leave your guys' reading here, group number 1. I really hope that this was helpful and that this resonated for you. If it did, please leave me a comment down below letting me know. Give this video a thumbs up so that it can reach as many other people as possible that may need to hear this message. I love you guys so much, group number 1, and I really think that there's a lot of change and beauty that's going to be on the other side for you, but it's so important that you take some of these things we've talked about today and apply them into your daily life to help you during this time of change and transition, and to really allow your mind, your body, and your soul to feel at peace and to feel loved and nourished. So anyway, did I say that already? I don't think so. Did I say to subscribe to my channel? Like, I literally don't remember. But if I didn't say it, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I put out new pick a card readings, sometimes tarot collective readings once a week. Again, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for joining me. Please subscribe, and I hope to see you in a future video. Thanks. Bye. Hi there, my group number 2s. As a reminder, if you chose the rose quartz, then this is your reading this week in regard to the self-love that you're needing to give, the care, the respect, all of that good stuff, how you're going to feed and nurture your mind, your body, and your soul. I apologize if you hear Reggie snoring in the background. He is in here. Hopefully it's not too loud and obnoxious. I just moved my mic a little closer to me in case you can really kind of hear him in the background. Hopefully I can drown him out a little bit better that way. So I do have like 2 additional oracle decks that we've already pre-shuffled cards for that we'll look at here after we take a look at these cards. But you guys got clear your energy field, look to the stars, ground yourself. And then for your tarot, you got the Tower, the 6 of Pentacles, the World, the Devil, and the Ace of Pentacles. Okay. So I really feel like what Spirit is saying to you guys here overall is you guys need to enjoy things more. You need to give yourself a break. You need to breathe. And you need to remember that you are a soul here having a human experience. And it's important for you to allow yourself to have that experience. This message is reminding me a bit of group number 1. So if you were drawn to that pile, I would suggest that maybe you go and listen to that video as well. That reading as well, because there may be some additional messages in there for you. For you guys, I really feel like with the Tower coming out here, you guys hold yourself to such a high standard. And you really have built this foundation of like overachievement and over like this high expectation of yourself off of like other people's shit that they've projected onto you, making you feel like you need to be perfect, or you need to be the best at everything, or you need to do things like XYZ way, right? Because that foundation, that premise in and of itself, that if we do things one way, we'll always get a certain outcome, is based on a false premise. That foundation in and of itself is flawed. And that's why I feel like the Tower is coming up here for you guys, because I think that you need to understand that just because you do something one way doesn't mean that you're always going to get the same result, or you're definitely going to get a certain kind of result. I mean, I guess with like math or something, sure, but in life, like, that's just not how things work out. We can't always predict the outcome of things. And I think that you guys have a really hard time with that. You may even have a hard time with kind of letting go of control. Again, like, the only thing we have control of in this life is I mean, nothing really that we have control over, but the only thing that we're guaranteed, I guess I should rephrase and say, is that we'll experience change, and we'll experience hard times, and we'll, fall off of the wave as much as we will be able to ride it. And that's okay, and that's a part of life, and that's a part of having this human experience. We're here to feel and see and experience what it is to be human. We're not here to be perfect, okay? We're not here to do things, the absolute best way that we can. We're here to be human and to live a life and to experience joy and generosity and collaboration and connection with others, okay? And I really feel like with the devil coming out here in particular, you have a really hard time with the parts of you that don't fit into this picture perfect idealized version of who you think you should be. And you have a hard time coming to terms with some of the darker aspects of yourself, your shadow aspects. And I think that Spirit's really saying that this is the time where you need to be doing that work, where you need to allow that balance between light and dark to happen within yourself, where you need to come face to face and confront these shadows and really like examine them and see them for what and who they are, and, understanding why are they there, and, how can I help myself work through some of these shadow aspects that maybe don't serve me anymore, that maybe they did when I was younger and they no longer do. And I need to get these parts of myself like in a better state so they're not always tearing me down when I'm trying to go after something new because they fear that I may be let down or rejected, those kind of things. And so I think that ultimately, this is going to take a lot of dedicated time and effort and work, but the payoff is so beautiful and like so necessary and needed, because the payoff will ultimately be that you allow yourself to be a human being and make mistakes, and you allow yourself to be joyous and laugh and enjoy life, eat the good foods, go on the vacation that you can't afford but you're like, maybe I don't need one. Like, take the vacation, explore, travel, allow yourself to be fully immersed in your day-to-day conversations with people and enjoy the time that you have with people, because truthfully none of us are guaranteed another day. And I think that that's just so utterly important for you guys during this transformative process for you during this time period in your life. It's so important for you guys to really come face to face with those shadow sides, so that you can fully embrace who you are and really just allow yourself to be more than always having to do. I get the feeling that a lot of you are always feeling like you have to do more and go after more, and the beauty of life is slowing down and enjoying the sunset on the beach, right? That's what this card looks like to me. It's the sunset on the beach card to me, and really allowing ourselves to be present and enjoy those things, enjoy those moments. I think that ultimately you guys need to be more abundant in life and life experiences, and like allowing yourself to feel all the ranges of emotions possible. Because I feel like for some of you with the Tower here too, it's like maybe you were told that crying is weak, that you shouldn't cry and show emotion, that showing emotion makes you weak, being vulnerable makes you weak, and you have to come to terms with these aspects of yourself that still tell yourself that, right? That still repeat those narratives to you that you shouldn't do those things or those things are bad. And it's not like doing anything to serve you or get you where you need to be. Those ideologies are not doing anything good for you, and it's going to be the most helpful if you can really like understand better why you think that, why those thoughts are there, and having a little bit better of a grasp on when they come up, being able to combat them and talk to them and be like, no, like that's not true, you know? Let me take a drink of water here real quick. Okay. But yeah, I just think that you have a lot that you're going to need to do in terms of shadow work and really uncovering why you have certain like thoughts or beliefs in place that ultimately I think hinder you more than anything. They don't allow you to be as like present or in the moment as you could be, and really allowing you to like thoroughly enjoy your life. I think also for you, especially with the Six of Pentacles coming up here, generosity is going to be something that's very important for you. I think that truthfully, it may bring you a lot of joy to start doing things, more things for other people, even like, you know, doing spontaneous like little acts of kindness or doing something to make someone else's day better. And that can even be yourself, right? Too, like if you, for instance, I'm one of these people that whenever I go do an errand, I have to reward myself for doing it. And if that's what gets you out of bed and like gets you to go do the things you need to take care of yourself, there's nothing wrong with that. Like literally, today, for instance, my husband and I both did not want to go grocery shopping. We knew we needed to, so we could have like dinners and stuff or ingredients for dinners ready this week. We know it's always best when we plan out our week because we're too exhausted sometimes coming home from work during the weekday to, you know, want to plan for anything and to not just order, but we know that it's better for us to actually make something at home. It's better economically, and it's usually better for us nutritionally as well. And so, you know, we went out and did that, but we rewarded ourselves by going and getting lunch first. We were like, okay, we'll go out to lunch, get something first, and then we'll be able to go to the grocery store. And like, you know, it's just little things like that sometimes that we have to do to reward ourselves and be generous and kind to ourselves. But we can do this for other people as well, right? And it really is a beautiful feeling to know that you did something kind or were generous or helpful for somebody else. Like, especially if any of your concerns are linked to money at all currently, I think that it's really important for you to, you know, not be overly controlling or overly worried about money all of the time. It really is true that when we kind of like let go of that fear of not having money, when we let go of that or when we're able to, that things kind of come to us and flow to us a little bit more easily. But anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox about that. Let's go ahead and look at these cards here because I don't feel like I've really touched on them as much. With clear your energy field coming up here, I really think that with some of the change that we'll be going through with us doing more shadow work and really starting to integrate both the light and dark sides of ourselves, and, you know, being able to balance those aspects better, not falling into maybe like bad habits or cycles that that hinder us as much, you know, and being able to recognize that, balancing that light and dark. And when we're doing this, I think that it's going to be really important that we have a clean space. If you're not somebody that really like wants to do a lot of energy work or like clearing of the energy field, definitely look into it if it's like speaking to you. But I really feel like this a lot of the time can also speak to us, like keeping our place around us tidy, keeping our place clean, keeping things organized, because there have been a lot of like, there's a lot of research that does point to like having a cluttered space can really clutter up our mind and our thoughts and right now I think it will be really important for you guys to have a clear, like, good, grounded state of mind, which I do feel like that's why ground yourself is coming up here, because it's going to be important for you guys to be in a good state of mind throughout this so that we can really like work through and integrate our shadow parts. With Look to the Stars, astrology may be very helpful for you at this time, especially if you're into like what they call more mundane astrology, which is like the day-to-day transitioning of planets, and like really following how the different transits may affect you or may like translate into the collective level. But I really love astrology. I think that astrology is a very helpful tool, especially in getting to know ourselves and be a little bit more introspective, as well as like understanding and getting to know other people, knowing that we're more than just like our sun sign. We're this complex chart of like planets interacting with one another, different planets in different houses having different effects on us and effects on each other. And I think it's very, very interesting. So if you've been called at all to get more into astrology, this is like that confirming message to go forth and do that. But I think astrology can be very helpful when we kind of are able to understand these cycles and these like have these like predictions, or have these, I don't even know what the best word I'm looking for is, but to essentially like have this thought or idea of how a planet shifting may affect the collective, or and will affect us as well, like on a personal level. So anyway, I could go on about astrology all the time. I think it's pretty clear that I love astrology. I think it's really cool, really interesting, but also like looking to the stars. We have the moon phases here too, maybe, and this came up with group number 1 as well. Maybe it'd be helpful for you to like understand the phases of the moon and the cycles more, to if you're somebody that like menstruates, to better understand yourself and like your cycle, and how like what moon cycle you're ovulating with, which one you're having your menstrual cycle with. And for some people, like cycle syncing is very helpful in terms of their health as well. Some people will exercise and eat according to their menstrual cycle, and it's just like allowing for more flow into your life. And again, I think that that is ultimately what you need more of, is you need to allow things to flow. Don't hold on so tightly to things that don't serve you. And, you know, understand that everybody has light and dark aspects to themselves. We all have certain things that we like to hide about ourselves or we don't love about ourselves, but it's okay to like respect and honor those pieces of us as well. With grounding yourself here too, I think that ultimately like spirit is saying to find more stability within. Know that life is constantly moving and changing, but we can find stability within ourselves. We can be that stable, safe place for ourselves. And you can also, again, connect with the cycles of the moon, connect with earth, going outside and actually grounding, like putting your bare feet on the ground, is very therapeutic and very much so allowing us to connect with Mother Gaia, connect with nature, connect with the earth, which provides for us and replenishes us and is always here giving to us, right? Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at some additional oracle cards here as well, and then we'll probably touch back on some of this stuff again, but let's go ahead and get into these oracle cards at least. So you guys have key, and you also have stability. Okay, with stability coming up here, I'm really not surprised that this one came up at all, because again, with the Six of Pentacles, we're asking for this balanced state, right? Where we're more in a balance and an understanding of like our light and dark aspects, of understanding that, you know, things change and we have to flow with them. And as well as more of a balance between what we like want to go after and like what we want to achieve, and allowing ourselves to be human and be present, to take breaks, to honor ourselves, to allow ourselves to breathe. and to just allow ourselves to take things slowly and to feel things and to be human, right? So yeah, I'm really not surprised by that. I think that ultimately, again, it's speaking to balance, to allowing ourselves to this inner stability, like I was talking about as well with the ground yourself. So staying grounded, not allowing like this to destroy us, right? Like this tower moment, this change, maybe even this crumbling of like past ways of being or ideologies to destroy us. It's important for us to stay grounded. It's important for us to know that, you know, we're in the downward spin of a cycle and we will come back up and it's okay. With key coming out here, I feel like ultimately the key here for you is, again, not trying to run from these aspects about ourselves that we don't love, that we try to hide from other people, that we see as bad or dark sides of us. The key is to not see them that way anymore. The key for you to like really have a fulfilled, abundant, beautiful life, my group number twos, is for you to fully love and accept yourself for who you are, and accept and love that you have aspects of yourself that you're not proud of, and all of us do. But it's important that we still acknowledge those pieces and we don't try to bury them. We don't try to like, you know, build this tower to keep them in when they're going to find their way out, when, you know, we're not building this tower for anything other than, you know, trying to hide ourselves or protect ourselves. Like, it is only going to get us so far, is what I'm trying to say. So your key really here is loving and accepting yourself, and know that you don't always have to be like fully head over heels in love with yourself and in love with like where you are and who you are, but at least being neutral and not being hateful towards yourself. Okay, and then finally we have for you, take time to breathe out. Makes a lot of sense. And we have work through your fears. So again, work through your fears. This is really pointing to, don't allow yourself to be swallowed by the darkness. Don't allow yourself to succumb to these darker aspects of yourself. Allow for the balance, allow for yourself to shine a light on those dark hidden things and see them for what they are, and to better understand and come to terms with them, really coming to terms with your own fears and working through them so that you can like build another tower for yourself that actually has a good foundation, right? That is actually more representative of who you are, instead of this facade that maybe you've put on because you try to overachieve and over accomplish things or whatever to mask what's really going on. And then take time to breathe out. Literally, I've been saying that over and over again, I feel like, during your reading. It's really important for you guys to take the time you need to like breathe and relax and chill. You don't always have to be going full force all of the time. You don't have to be productive to be valuable, okay? You are already inherently valuable and loved, and you don't need to constantly be doing things or pushing towards something or whatever, or accomplishing things to be valuable. If that's all you needed to hear, know that you are valuable. And it doesn't matter, like, if you were to sit around for the rest of your life and not move and never do anything, you're still valuable because you're a person and you matter. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and leave your guys' reading here, group number 2. I really hope that this was helpful for you and that this resonated. If it did, please leave me a comment down below letting me know. Give this video a thumbs up so that it can reach as many other people as possible that may need to hear today's message. As I mentioned, if you were drawn at all to group number 1, it may be helpful for you to go back and listen to that group's reading as well, because this was not pretty similar, but very, very similar in terms of like overarching ideas, and maybe there's more messaging that you need to hear over there as well. Finally, if you haven't, please do subscribe to my channel. I put out new pick a card readings. Often I'll do like tarot collective readings once a week. I love you guys so much. I'm hoping all of the best for you, and I really hope to see you in a future reading. Bye. Hi there, my group number threes. As a reminder, if you chose this piece of citrine, then this is your reading this week in regard to self-love, how you can better care for yourself, respect yourself, honor yourself, and just like really feed and nurture your mind, your body, and your soul. So let's go ahead and get into it, you guys. These 3 cards were a part of your pile selection. So you got chanting, music, and spend time with friends. And then for your tarot cards this week, you got the Lovers, the Fool, the Page of Pentacles, the Ace of Wands, and the Emperor. And then I have some additional oracle cards that I pre-shuffled for you guys that we'll get into after we go through this. So let's go ahead and get into it, my group number threes. With chanting coming up here first, this is like the first one that I really want to touch on and talk about because I don't know as much about chanting. Maybe you already practice yoga or you're really into chakra work, and because of that you already are familiar with chanting. But I do know that you can do like there are different like words or sounds to chant to like correlate with the different chakras. So because of that, I know that a lot of people that are doing like chakra work or people that do yoga incorporate this. So that may be something that is, and I mean, it looks like they're doing yoga honestly kind of in the cards. So that may be something that speaks to you and that you want to look into further. By all means, if that's the case, do it. I'm just like not an expert on it, so I don't really feel comfortable getting into it too much. But I definitely tell you to look into that. One thing that did come up though when I saw this card is literally just getting comfortable with using your voice. I get the feeling that maybe some of you have a hard time standing up for yourself, speaking up for yourself, and it's really important that we don't shy away from conflict and that we are able to express ourselves verbally and state what it is that we need and like what our boundaries are, what our expectations are, all of that good stuff. So for some of you, I'm feeling like this has more to do with you just being comfortable speaking up for yourself and using your voice and not shying away from that because you're afraid of hurting someone else's feelings. Sometimes we need to just say what we need to say, and there are good ways doing that where we're not being like accusatory or whatever. But you know, one thing that I heard, I can't even remember who said it. I listened to a lot of different podcasts, but this, like, I just want to get this out that this is not my original idea. And I think that it was actually like something that either like they had done because of reading a book by Brene Brown, or maybe it was the holistic psychologist. I don't know. Either way, it's not it's not something that I've come up with, but something that I do think is really helpful is when you're wanting to express yourself or express how something is making you feel without like pointing fingers or like, you know, trying to blame the other person or be accusatory towards the other person, it's helpful to say words along the lines of, this is the narrative that I'm creating in my head, or this is the story that I'm creating based off of, you know, XYZ, you know. So there are ways of doing it without pointing fingers and pointing blame, and really just expressing how we feel and not saying like, because you made me feel this way. Because sometimes when we use accusatory language like that, it really defeats the purpose of our whole conversation, and like the other person just gets really defensive, and then we have a blowout argument as opposed to just like trying to find better ways to express ourselves. So that was something that was kind of coming up when I was laying out your cards. With music, I think that, you know, Spirit is saying that it may be really, and you may be somebody that even like plays an instrument or writes music or enjoys doing those kind of things, like writing different like scales or whatever, playing different scales. It's been a long time, you guys, since I've played an instrument, so I'm sorry if I don't have the correct terminology, but you know, just creating music, listening to music, maybe even like curating like a playlist for yourself of songs that you're really enjoying at the moment, that like, you know, put you in a good mood, that you really enjoy listening to. I feel like that's kind of why that is coming up here, is perhaps you kind of need to be listening to music that puts you in a good mood, or helps you kind of work through feelings even. So it doesn't have to be like happy-go-lucky upbeat music if that's not how you're feeling, but you know, songs that really like speak to you. And even like there for a while I was listening to like Spotify playlists and stuff of like they were like literally called like 90s mom Spotify playlist, and it just like brings you back to your childhood, where you feel like you're in the back seat of the car and the sun's shining through and your mom's driving you around and you're beat bopping to some music on the radio. I don't know, that just like sometimes nostalgia like that, like nostalgic music like that, just puts me in a good mood. So if you're the same way, maybe look into some of those like playlists. But I think that just music in general will be really important for you, really helpful, and can really help us connect to like some deep-seated emotions that maybe we haven't worked through that we need to. And then spend time with friends. You guys, I really get the feeling when I was laying out your cards especially, and we'll get into the tarot cards here in a second. Let me just take a drink. But I get the feeling that maybe you're just like either at a crossroads where you're trying to determine in your life like who you are and what you want out of life, or maybe you were like in a relationship that just previously ended, that maybe it wasn't always toxic but became more toxic and problematic toward the end. But I feel like you're just kind of trying to find yourself again, and hanging out with friends can be so helpful, especially surrounding ourselves with people that really love us and understand us and care for us, and just like want to support us. It can be really helpful in like a healing journey, as well as us really trying to connect with like our authenticity and connect with who we are again, right? There's this sound going on TikTok, and I believe it actually came from, if you watch on YouTube, the First We Feast channel, the Hot Ones like segment that they do on there. Viola Davis went on a couple months ago, and she gave this like very beautiful speech at the end, and maybe I'm just like conflating it or confusing it with like what's going on TikTok, but I love her. She's fabulous. Like, she's just so eloquent in the way that she speaks as well, and she essentially talks about how she feels like life is just a journey of us becoming like our true selves, and how we go through life with other people always trying to imprint themselves onto us, and like we're born into this life knowing who we are and being like our truest selves, and we kind of lose that along the way, and it's really like this unbecoming of these things that we're not, and becoming again who we always have been and who we always were. And that's really like the vibe that I'm getting from your guys' reading, group number 3, especially with your tarot cards here as well. Like with the Lovers coming out here, I feel like this is speaking to us really incorporating and like loving and cherishing all of the pieces of ourselves, really seeing the beauty in and like showing love toward other people and the world and like animals and the planet, and just like also coming back to ourselves, right? There's like a car passing that's kind of bumping some music. Let me just take a drink here real quick. Hopefully it doesn't get too loud. Okay. But what I'm getting at is I feel like it's almost like there's this journey of you coming back to yourself, and you really trying to ask yourself, like, what do I value? Like, what's important to me? What do I want out of life? Who am I? Like, who am I at my core, and what is important and valuable to me? Because again, society always tries to imprint and put different things onto us, as well as like our parents, family members, friends even, try to turn us into things sometimes that we're not, or try to imprint themselves on us even though we're not an extension of them. We are our own individual, right? And so I think it's really about you thinking about what's important to you, what do you actually value, what do you consider your morals to be, and leaning more into that and like falling into a path that actually aligns for you because of that. With the Fool coming up here, I really feel like this is talking about a journey of like self-discovery. The rest of this is, and I feel like this is going to be so important for you to really truly connect with and love yourself, my group number 3s. Again, us like finding our voice again, you know, finding even more out about ourselves through music. I don't know, this is like another thing that's coming up. But I've been seeing like these TikToks where it's like a Stitch video, and it's got Mike in it from Stranger Things, like him like probably like his character or whatever from like a scene of the show. But anyway, it's like me before something, then he snaps his finger, and then it's like me after. And what's been coming up a lot for me is the artist Hellooo, which if you've never listened to her, she's fabulous. Her voice is like butter. And it's like me before Galliucci's, and then like he snaps his fingers and it's like me after. And before, it's like, you know, girls, beautiful, you know, doing their thing, usually kind of quite a bit younger, maybe more like conservative in the way they're dressing and looking. And then afterwards, it's like they've tapped into this like feminine, sensual like part of themselves. And I think that's beautiful, the way that music can bring those things out in us. So again, I feel like that's kind of why that's coming up here for us. And then spending time with friends, because sometimes, you know, like I had said, friends can try to make us things that we're not, but I also feel like those aren't really our friends. The people that are our friends and truly love us and care for us and like respect our individuality, those are the people that I feel like you need to be surrounding yourself with to support you during this time and to remind you of, you know, who you are and what you're capable of. So anyway, I feel like the Fool is again speaking to this adventure of like self-discovery, and really like authenticity of us really like being our true authentic selves, especially with like the Page of Pentacles, the Ace of Wands, and the Emperor coming out here, because the Page of Pentacles here is really speaking to the journey, right? It's almost like you're a beginner again, even when it comes to knowing yourself and like what you're wanting out of life. And it's important that we like don't try and rush this process. We take things slowly and we take things one step at a time while we're trying to get to this new destination or this newfound place or understanding of who we are. With the Ace of Wands, again, I feel like this is asking us to tap into our vitality, our spirit, like who we are at our core, allowing us to expand on that and see both the light and dark of ourselves, to come to love and accept every piece of ourselves, but really allowing us to expand on who we are and like what we value, what's important to us. With the Emperor coming out here, I feel like this is almost the final product, essentially. Like you have done a lot of the work needed and you're at this place of like, if not like total complete self-love, at least like neutrality with yourself, where you actually care for yourself. You're not like actively trying to sabotage yourself anymore or others. You're supportive. You're, you know, just very, I'm trying to like figure out what word I want to use. It's almost like you're very masterful and very like purposeful in your actions. And you're not trying to control anyone or make anyone believe the way that you do or see things the way that you do, because it's like you understand that everybody has their own unique path to walk, and it's not your job to tell somebody how they should be living their life. But I feel like you become very wise, almost like the owl, and people come to you for support or guidance or whatever, and it's like you help people, but you're also not going to be the end all be all that tells them how to live their life, right? Because you know that everybody has to live their life for themselves. It's almost like also you're leading by example by you unlocking this level of authenticity within yourself. It really encourages those around you to unlock that as well, to want to live in their truth, in their authenticity, and not pretend to be something that they're not anymore. It's interesting too because Jupiter moved into Aries I don't know, like 2 months ago, I think. And when that happened, you know, with Jupiter being in Aries, it's this expansion of expressing the self fully, of really allowing that creativity, that fire, that passion, that drive to come through in us. And the individuality and authenticity is very important for Jupiter in Aries, because at its core, Aries is like and it wants to be the individual, wants to be like the one that is why can't I think of the word, wants to be the one that's like igniting things and, you know, driving things full force and be like the leader, essentially. I don't know why it was so hard for me to come up with that word, but that's what I'm feeling for you, group number 3. I feel like that's why it's going to be really important for you to learn how to use your voice and not back down from like confrontation or other things that may come up for you. It's going to be very, very important for you to learn to actively speak up for yourself. So yeah, chanting may be very helpful with that, but overall, just not being afraid of your own voice, okay? Not being afraid of expressing what you want and need in certain situations. Let me take one more drink here and then we'll get into your oracle cards. Okay, so we have for you nurture. I'm not sure how to say the top portion, so I'm just going to go with nurture because I don't want to butcher anything too bad. And then we have Vry, freedom. So, give me 1 second here. So, with these coming out here, I feel like with nurture, this really has to do with you nurturing yourself, okay? Taking care of yourself, giving yourself what you need, so that you can thrive and that you're able to really do the inner work that's needed to figure out like what it is you want, you know, what it is that you value, what it is that is important to you in this lifetime. But I think it's very important for you to nurture. And again, like with nurture, what comes to mind is the Page of Pentacles and not rushing ourselves. It's okay to take things slowly. It's okay to take things one step at a time. And sometimes it's better that we do that so that we don't burn ourselves out. It's funny too with like the Emperor coming up here. And if you guys don't know, Aries rules the Emperor card in tarot, like they're linked. And so Aries likes to push the envelope sometimes a little bit too hard, and it works for Aries sometimes. I'm not going to knock them, but at the end of the day, sometimes we also need to be a little bit grounded, and we need to give ourselves the time, the space, and the energy to like care for ourselves and nurture and love ourselves through the change and the things that are happening. You know, we don't have to make things go by so quickly. We don't have to get from point A to Z in like 2 days. We can take our time. We can do things slowly. And honestly, that's the best thing that we can do to help prevent ourselves from getting burnt out. And then with freedom coming up here, I feel like this has to do with like the freedom that you will then have and like the way that you'll shine for other people. Again, I feel like this represents like you being this light and having this individualistic like mentality about yourself, not in a negative way, but just like not needing to follow the crowd all the time. You're okay with standing alone and shining and like using your voice, being your authentic self. And I think that that is really what you guys need to lean into in this life to really feel the most nurtured and cared for and loved by your soul and like your mind and your body. Okay, and then let's go ahead and get into our last set of cards here. So you guys also got Don't Let the Past Hold You Back. Not surprised by that at all. And then we have The Energy is Gaining Momentum, Waxing Moon, and this one was South Node. So if you guys know anything about astrology, you probably know that the South Node, what astrologers believe it to represent, at least some of them do, is the gifts and talents that we come into this life with, that we come into it with from another life. And it's something that we've already kind of mastered, but we're trying to go toward our North Node in this lifetime. And acquire more of those characteristics and qualities. So for instance, for myself, I'm a South Node in Taurus, North Node in Scorpio. So in previous lifetimes, I've been very good about getting myself the financial stability needed. I've been really good about taking care of myself and taking care of those around me, making sure that things are stable and they're in a good place. And in this lifetime, I'm supposed to be, while I'm going to like have some of those characters and qualities as well, and like I don't have to fully get away from my South Node, it's very important that we embrace the qualities and characteristics of our North Node and we allow a balance to happen there, right? We allow ourselves to come into those characteristics. So for me, it's really about not being so bound by material and financial things, allowing myself that freedom to explore and be open to new possibilities, and really just trusting that things will work out for me the way that they're supposed to. So I would urge you to look into what your North and South Node are. That may be very helpful for you. You could very well be like a South Node in Libra, North Node in Aries, because I was getting some Aries energy here, but that doesn't have to be the case for you. I would look into that and maybe do a little bit more research on what those things mean, what the houses that they mean are in, what the houses that they are in means, and really trying to embody some more of the qualities and characteristics of your North Node may help you with tapping into your authenticity. And then with the energy is gaining momentum. I feel like you're really starting to gain momentum in this area of life with your self-development. I feel like maybe, again, you had been at a standstill for a while, whether it had been that you were in a relationship that was no longer serving you, maybe you were in a place in your life where it wasn't safe to truly express and be yourself, like maybe you were living in your parents' home and they weren't very accepting of the things that you wanted to do. Whatever it may be, I feel like you're finally at a place where you can truly tap into yourself and what you want out of this life. So group number 3, go after it. Go after what you want and really like unbecome the things that are not you. Tap into who you really truly are authentically at your core. Learn more about yourself and what you value, what your morals are, like what's important to you, and really ask yourself that, what is important to me? Stop worrying so much about what's important to everybody else, because at the end of the day, this is your life and you have to live it for you. So I'm going to go ahead and leave your reading here, group number 3. I really hope that this was helpful and that this resonated for you. If it did, please drop me a comment down below letting me know that it did. And then please give this video a thumbs up so that it can reach as many other people as possible that may need to hear this message. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel. I put out new pick a card readings. Sometimes I do tarot collective readings once a week. I love you guys so much. Thank you for joining me, and I hope that you are really able to tap into yourself and you become this beautiful, shining, authentic version of you. Thank you, and I hope to see you in a future video. Bye.